song. Paul Blackburn actually recommended it. It's been a while since I've been on a webinar, so I'm super excited to be here today. And let's get everything rolling today. We have some good stuff to talk about. I am Angela Paoli. I am Vice President of Education and Broker Development for App Properties, Christie's International, and I have one of my favorite people in the universe, Mr. Paul Blackburn. I love presenting with Paul. He is our VP of Brokerage Operations. He oversees our Goose Island office as well as our amazing North Center office. So, Paul, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, good morning, Angela. Thanks for being here. Happy to have you back on a webinar.
Yeah,
So we're going to have fun today.
yeah. So, and me and Paul love talking about this topic. So it just made sense that we're presenting it together. I don't know how many of you joined our Getting What You're Worth for Buyers last year, but that was a really successful, awesome presentation and program that we put together. So we love talking about value prop. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And I just want to start with a little agenda of what we're going to be going through today. We're going to talk a little bit about what is your value prop, why is it important, the foundation of your value prop, elements that should be in your value prop, and give you some good next steps. So some of you may be thinking, oh my God, you guys always talk about value prop and it's too much, right? And it probably is, but we think that it's super important to talk about for a couple reasons. I think we can all agree that this industry and this market is a little hard. Can I get an amen in the chat? Do you feel like you struggle? Do you feel like it's been rough? Do you feel like there's like no end in sight, right? It's rough, whether we're fighting for listings, we're fighting to work with buyers, we're fighting for our compensation, we're fighting with other co-op agents, we're fighting with everything, right? We're just fighting to get paid. And the dynamics in the industry are hard and our economics are rough and there's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty, and I think that our clients feel it, we feel it, it's rough, right? So what I'm saying is we hear you, we know it's hard, we know it's hard to counsel our clients in a climate like this, but we also want to say to you that now more than ever your value prop is super important. And sometimes it's just getting back to the basics that help us get through the tough times, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about your value prop today, why it's important, how you can put something together, how you can use it, and how you can use it to win more business and help counsel your clients and make sure that they feel good working with you, and that you have a nice, strong value prop to use in your business. So I'm going to pass it over to Paul, and he's going to talk about what our value prop is.
Let's do it. So I love that intro, Angela, because I think, like you said, right now, it is more important than ever for us to have a really, really strong value prop. And at the end of the day, when there is any kind of uncertainty or any kind of challenge in the market, guess what? Our clients are looking for more of an expert in a broker, right? So that's why right now you have to not only know what your value is, but you have to be great at articulating that. So what is your value prop? What is a value statement? And it's basically this. It's going to be a clear statement that's going to explain what you do for your clients, right? What you do, how it benefits those clients, right? And why should they be choosing you over somebody else, all right? What differentiates you from another broker at maybe a different company or even within the same company? Or it even leans in on the fact of why should somebody even be using a broker in the first place? All right. So why is this actually important? One, look, it's going to position you as the expert. It's going to build credibility and trust. It's going to show that, guess what? Not all brokers are the same, right? Because it's going to differentiate you. And look, there sometimes are those people out there that have the assumption that one broker is the same as another broker. So the burden really does fall on us to actually educate them and say, hey, you know what? That's actually not the case. Let me explain to you how I am different. All right. That burden falls on us and it starts with our value prop. And look, this also by having a solid value proposition, guess what? It is going to increase your ability to get referrals. All right. And it's going to do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, there are a lot of people in your database, your friends, your family, who are going to be completely comfortable working with you because they know you, they trust you. Are they confident in referring you to somebody else? all right, when they go and they go to pass your name along to somebody else, and that person says, oh, why is this broker great? Why is Angela amazing? Why should I be working with Angela? They need the ability to answer that question. Your value prop, when you're able to explain it to your clients, it gives them a talking point, a talking piece to go ahead and explain it to the people that they know, and therefore increase your referrals. And look, it's going to drive action as well. A great value proposition, when it can resonate with a client, it's going to make that client feel a lot more comfortable saying yes. And that might mean saying yes and signing an exclusive buyer broker agreement. It might mean signing a listing agreement. But guess what? It also means maybe listening to your advice throughout the transaction, right? When you're able to properly articulate your value and really show your clients why you do what you do and why it benefits them, it's actually going to make that negotiation. It's going to make that entire transaction so much more comfortable because they're going to actually, guess what? Listen to you. What do we got next? Foundation of your value prop. So what's the foundation? All right. Really, what are we going to be starting with? All right. How do we actually effectively communicate your value proposition? What do you need to do that? Number one, mindset. All right. As much as our value proposition is for our clients, for our prospects, it's also for us. It's for right here. All right. It helps us get out of our own way. When we're teaching getting what you're worth, that's why I love talking about, Angela, is saying, hey, this value prop right here is mainly for you. So you actually feel confident asking for what you deserve. So it starts with your mindset and the confidence in your own abilities, right? And let's talk about the abilities you actually have. Do you really know all the skills that you have and all the training that you've really gone through to deliver the exceptional results you are able to deliver for your clients? All right. Have you taken some time to actually think about what those things are? And courage. All right. Are you actually able to put yourself out there? When you have confidence in your value proposition, when you know what you bring to the table, you realize that you're actually bringing a gift to your clients, right? So by you having that courage to get out there, maybe ask for a referral, or that courage to go and ask for 3.5% on a listing instead of 3%, guess what? That's going to come through and it's going to make you look really good in front of your clients. And it's going to give you the ability to actually get what you deserve. And then knowledge. All right. Knowledge is power. So when we're thinking about putting together a value prop, what market expertise do you have? What business insights do you have? What markets do you know really, really well? And also, are you really great at articulating that to your clients?
Awesome. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the key components in your value prop. So what things, what elements are part of it? And we think that there are three key components that will set you apart. So number one, your numbers, your stats, and your ratios. Paul touched upon about knowledge being power. Well, your stats are powerful too. So we want to make sure that you can showcase your quantifiable results, right? And it doesn't need to be crazy. Half the time, the clients don't even understand half of what we're talking about, right? So even if you have a stat or two, it's good enough. Sales volume, list to sell price ratio, average days on market. If you don't have stats for yourself that are compelling, lean on your office's stats in your neighborhoods, lean on your company's stats in our region, in our Chicagoland region, right? So that's why you work for a really big, cool company like is because you can lean on those stats and us being number one in most markets. So that's a really big component of it to show that you're a true professional and you know what you're doing. Number two, your unique differentiators. This is where you're going to highlight your skills, your background, your experience that set you apart. Things like, what have you done in the past? A lot of us came into the industry with a past profession. Some of us may be doing more than one profession at a time. What are you doing in your other lives or in your past life that can kind of translate into real estate sales and make you a really great agent to work with? Number three, storytelling. So once you have your stats and your ratios and your numbers, and you have these unique differentiators, you're going to put those together and you're going to tell it with a compelling story. This is what we call the power of three. These three elements really make a great, strong value proposition, and we're going to get into a little bit more details. So this power of three, there's countless examples of people being very receptive to receiving information in threes. Typically, if you go past more than 3 points, you're going to lose people, right? So if you recall, when we do our Getting What You're Worth on the list side and on the buyer side, when we're scripting and we take that initial phone call, we always say, I have a step, I have a process, and I have 3 steps in that process, right? Well, that's because we don't want to lose people past those 3 steps. So one is not enough, two really isn't enough either to be credible, but three really makes a lot of sense. And once you get past three, it's just too much. It's information overload. So it's important that you identify compelling value points that you want to convey. Paul, do you want
Yeah,
to
I
take the
love
slide?
that. Power of three. It's kind of like 3 martinis is perfect, and anything more than that's too much, right? Um,
That
so
is
let's
true.
so let's talk about some stats here. So here's what I want you to do. In the chat, toss in if you have a stat you're really proud of, toss that stat in the chat. All right. So let's kind of get some conversation going there and make you feel great if you have a great stat that you really are proud of. I'm going to read you what I got here on the screen, and we're going to talk about what some of these stats mean, but more importantly, how we can actually relate these stats directly to the client so it resonates and they actually can see what the value is. So, what are some stats you might be looking to actually have, right? Maybe you're going to be looking at your total number of transactions. I love looking at the total number of transactions for your entire career, or maybe the past year or the past 5 years, because it really goes to show, instead of maybe just sales volume, when you've done a lot of transactions, it means you have a lot of experience. It means you have navigated a lot of different negotiations, and all of those things that you've gone through in the past is what's going to allow you to create success for your clients going forward. So that's one reason why I really do love that stat. But take a look at maybe the total number of transactions you even plan to do for this year, right? Maybe your goal is to sell 30 homes. And when you share that with your clients, you share that with the prospect, it goes to show that, hey, they can actually be part of that for this year. All right. And it also goes to show that you may have had some great success in the past, but guess what? You're also going to plan to have some great success this year. Average days on market is a great one. Average days to contract. List to sell price ratio is great on the listing side, but even on the buy side, think about it. All right, we have our list to sell price ratio. Maybe it's 99% or 100% on the list side, but maybe when you represent buyers, you are able to negotiate at 96% of list price. Now, I realize in this current low inventory market, that stat might not be great, but it's definitely worth it for you to go ahead and take a look and see when you rep buyers, how much under the list price are you able to negotiate for them? How does that stat look? And also take a look at maybe where you rank within your office, or where you rank within the company or within your local market. And take a look, of course, at the company. Like Angela said, right? We have phenomenal company stats and phenomenal office stats. So if you don't have a lot on your own, maybe because you're brand new or you took a small hiatus, et cetera, right? Lean in on those company stats and leverage those. And also look at your team stats as well. All right. I love this. I mean, if you're on a team, that's the reason why you're on a team, right? Power in numbers. So go ahead and leverage those team stats. You know, another stat that's out there I think is really kind of cool is how many multiple offer scenarios have you won for your clients, right? So especially right now in this market, what is that number? And maybe what is that percentage? You know, maybe 75% or maybe 90%, or how many buyers have you worked with that you've been able to create success for, right? Because we all know we've worked with buyers, and sometimes some people have taken a step back and said, I don't want to go ahead and buy right now because of the market. But maybe every buyer you've worked with in the past 2 years, you've been able to successfully place, right? That's 100% success rate. That is a great stat that can go ahead and can make your clients feel great. But let's really quickly talk about the way that these stats can be relayed or explained to a client, and what I want you to do versus what I don't want you to do. Okay.
Paul,
We
can
need to
I
make,
interrupt?
yeah,
I have 2 great things in the chat that I just want to call out. We
let's
have
do
a
it.
stat, a customer satisfaction stat, which I really love. And I feel like we should almost add that to the slide because it's so good. Because
That's great.
if
Yeah.
you back that up with some good testimonials, I feel like that is a super easy one that anybody can put on their bio or in their value prop. I
Yep.
also like a percentage of your business that is repeat business. That just shows how people love you, trust you, and want to work with you forever, right? And just word of mouth is so important for your business. So I love those. So thank you guys for adding that. And then Melissa's asking, how do you find these stats yourself? Your average days on market or your average days to contract. Paul, how do you counsel your agents when they're looking for stats?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can go ahead and you can do it. I say InfoSparks is going to be your friend with this on the MLS. That's the easiest way for you to go ahead and start pulling those stats yourself. So it's through the MLS, through MRET, InfoSparks. When you go under resources, you'll see it's going to be one of the tabs. And that's fantastic. I would say go ahead and start there. When all else fails, you can reach out to your managing broker as well. And then we can do a pull on broker metrics to take a look at sometimes some things that might be maybe a bit more nuanced in things, or to kind of cross-check some of the data. But InfoSparks is absolutely fantastic. Oh, and Kimberly said, yeah, even Zenlist helps you pull the stats too. And that's right. Zenlist does as well. So great point.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
so
then Laura says, don't forget to cite your sources. Yes. Please make sure you have, how you pulled those stats, where it came from. That is super important, especially if you're putting those things on marketing pieces. Super
100%.
Yeah. And then let's see. Company stats are important for new people. Need specific stats. Yeah. And look, we have great company stats, and you see, we send out those, like, I think it's like monthly or quarterly. We send out like different snapshots of different markets and kind of where at is standing. We have really great content that you could pull for stuff like that too. So, and then Kimberly said, yeah, only the past 2 years though on Zenlist. So thanks for mentioning that.
There we go. Yeah, and the company stats are great. Like I said, and you can even look at if you are going up for a certain listing, let's say, or something along those lines, right? At a very specific area or maybe a certain price point, we can always pull those stats of how maybe a certain office or how our company fares in that exact market or that exact price point. But what I want you to really remember quickly on the stats is when you explain them to your clients, right? I want you to explain them to how they actually will make sense to the client. Meaning, I don't want you saying, hey, my average days on market is 25 days, all right? Because to the client, they know, all right, it's going to take me 25 days to sell my home, but how does that make you different than the broker next door or the broker across the street? Instead, I would want you to say something like, I sell homes 14 days faster than the market average, right? Because now that basically shows where your true value is, where that difference is. And same with the list to sales price ratio. You can go in there and say, hey, my average list to sales price ratio is 98%. And that means that, guess what? I am going to get 98% of our list price for you on average. But how does that compare? Instead, if you were to say, I sell homes 3% above what the market is currently selling on average, that's 3% more in your pocket. That 3% is relatable. It makes sense to that client, to that seller. And guess what? It justifies your fee right there. So make sure any step that you use, you're able to explain why it actually matters to the client that you are speaking with. Because we know why it matters because we're in the business. The client necessarily doesn't.
I love that you added that, because honestly, most of the general public, they don't understand anything about what we do. So we may think that our stats are really cool and impactful, and it may mean nothing to the person who's reading it or you're saying it to. So yes, talk to them like they know nothing. Just assume they know nothing. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our unique differentiators, right? So now we have these great stats. Now we're going to talk about our unique skills, knowledge, and experiences, making sure that we're pulling from our past, and kind of wrapping it all up into a strong value prop. So some examples are past careers, like we talked about. What did you do in your past life? Were you an accountant? Were you in finance? Were you in customer service? Paul and I always have this great story of one of the first Getting What You're Worth sessions, that when we brought it back 2 years ago and we did one in person, we had one of the agents say, you're never going to help me create a value prop because my past career is so funky. And we're like, give it to us. And she was a professional comedian. And guess what? She walked out with a really great value prop. So we can spin anything, and there are skills and important skills in anything that you've done before that really can translate into the real estate industry. So no matter what you did, you can find ways that it translates. Also, do you have any special degrees? Do you have an MBA? Do you have a CPA? Paul added this. Was your major in psychology, right? Oh my God, what great skills does that give us to deal with people today, right? Were you a licensed therapist, right? So there's a lot of different degrees that you can use that help you in real estate. How about special skills like staging or photography or design or construction? You may have those special skills. You probably have some contacts, within those areas too. So that's another good thing to add to your value prop. And then some areas of expertise. Are there specific neighborhood niches that you work in? Specific property types, specific client types, first time buyers, or people who are getting divorced or estates or, you know, you name it. There's a lot of different areas of expertise that you can focus on, but all of these can be intertwined and into a really strong value prop. All right, we have some stuff in the chat here. I say you need to pick an agent that you can have a hard conversation with and come out with a stronger bond. They are paying us for our expertise and the hard conversations. My clients don't care about my stats. They see how hard I work based on my social media. Awesome point, Kim. And Holly says that'd be me. All right, great. So let's move on to our key components in our value prop, storytelling. Paul?
Yeah, I love storytelling because I think when you tell a story, it really resonates with the client, right? So you can basically take your numbers, your stats, your differentiators, and really tie them together in a story to really show success that you brought for a client in the past. So let me read you this example here, and you can see a couple things that kind of meld well together. And then we'll quickly talk about how you can start putting together basically a list of stories to kind of have at your disposal. So here's an example. Hey, I have a degree in finance and have past work experiences with analyzing large sets of data. Last year, I supported a client through a multiple offer situation and helped analyze 24 offers. This resulted in the acceptance of a tremendously solid offer, 15% above list price, and we closed smoothly and quickly in 30 days. I used my financial acumen to drive the best results for my clients. So this ties in what? Ties in the degree in finance, ties in the past work experience, and then directly correlated to what? The success that was brought with the client. Talked about the number of offers. That's going to stick in that person's head, right? 24 offers, and then 15% above list price. Great. Now, here's one thing you can do to figure out what stories you actually have. Because I know some of you right now are thinking, well, let's see, I have a lot of horror stories maybe, but how many
I was going to say,
success
doesn't that
stories?
sound like a dream? Would you all love to have that example in your
Right?
life?
I mean, like, that's a great example. Hopefully, some of you have that out there. I'm sure you do. But sometimes you have a lot of stuff that is in the past that isn't right here in the forefront of your mind. So here's what I encourage you to do. Go on the DMS, all right? Look back through your past 2 years of clients. Just put it in order by date and start looking through each one and think, do I have a story that came out of that transaction? And literally just sit there. You know, instead of scrolling through social media one day, go there and do that and think, all right, what success did I bring that client? How did I bring them that success? And how does something in my past or my experience allow me to create that success for them? And actually go ahead and write it down. Like, I want you to write it down. And when you start to have this list of stories of this work that you've done for these past clients and the way you've been able to create success because of something in your value prop, you're able to go through this list every single time you're going on a listing presentation. You can look at it, quickly scan it, and you're going to start to realize that these stories are going to become embedded in your mind. And before you know it, you will come across a scenario when you're talking with a prospect, you're talking with a buyer, a potential seller, or even just somebody out and about at a party. And that story is going to be something that you can go ahead and relay. And it's going to go ahead and really, really show the value that you bring.
Yeah, what I like about this example, Darby loves it too. I like this example because it's clear and it's concise, it's memorable, and it's not hard to remember, right? And
Yep.
it's not like you're not telling this giant story, right? It's like just very clear and impactful. So just sit and think about it like Paul said, just go back to your transactions and jot down some notes and you know, you if the mere fact that you closed a transaction made it successful, right? So you can find the success in every transaction, even if it was hard. And even if
Yep.
you lean into that, and that's part of your story, look, this was a tumultuous transaction, but this is what we accomplished, right? So you can spin it in a variety of ways, but you guys will have these slides too. So if you want to like kind of copy things like this too, you can.
Yeah. Yeah, do not be afraid of the bad stories, release the stories that were really difficult, right? Because here's what I promise you. Clients, people out there, they will not remember the problem. They will remember the way in which the problem was resolved, right?
Mm,
So that's all they're going to remember. They're not going to remember the craziness, they're going to remember how did you solve that problem? And those can make for some great stories for you.
yeah,
All
for
right, so
sure.
I got this one, right? Yeah, key elements of
Yeah.
your unique value prop and really what should we be looking at here once we get this all put together. 30 to 60 seconds long, people. All right. That is it. We do not want this to be, you're not standing up here like me talking too much and giving a full dissertation on your life. You are making it short, easy, All right, memorable, so they can actually go ahead and relay it to somebody else. All right. So here's what you want to make sure it does. You want to make sure that it establishes your credibility and expertise. So when you read through your value prop, you read through your points, is it establishing your credibility? Is it establishing the amount of expertise that you bring to a transaction? Does it truly differentiate yourself from the competition? All right. Whether we're talking the competition of another brokerage firm and a broker there, or even somebody within your same exact office. All right. Are you able to differentiate yourself? Does it make the prospect want to hire you immediately? Does it tug at their emotions? Does it excite them? That's what we want to make sure this value prop does. It excites them and it resonates with them. All right. And does it provide a memorable and shareable message? All right. That is key right there. Memorable is great. Shareable is even better, because when it's shareable, they will remember it. And then when it's shareable, guess what? That's where your referrals go ahead and come in. It's not just call Angela, she's amazing. It's, hey, call Angela. Guess what? Last week, she negotiated with 24 offers on her listing. All right. Something along those lines, right? That's what you have to make sure it actually does for your client. And let's have an example. All right. We like the previous example. Tell me what you think of this one right here. All right. So I've been a full-time real estate professional for over 10 years, specializing in helping buyers and sellers navigate competitive markets. And with a background in interior design, I provide complimentary staging consultations to my sellers, maximizing their home's value. See, my listings actually sell 20% faster than the market average, and my buyers, they have a 90% success rate in multiple offer scenarios. I just don't help people buy and sell homes. I guide them through one of the biggest financial and emotional decisions of their lives with expert advice and a stress-free process.
Woo-hoo.
Right? I mean, you see those things
one.
in bold. What's memorable? 10 years, right, in the business. Background in interior design, staging consultations, 20% faster, right? And a 90% success rate on multiple offer scenarios with their buyers. All right. I hope we have a lot of people with a 96% success rate in multiple offer scenarios. That would be an amazing stat,
No,
I
no,
gotta
I hope
say.
we have stress-free processes.
And that, there you go. We probably should have bolded that one too, right?
Listen, guys, don't overpromise.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. All right.
That's
So
a good
we're,
one, though.
yeah, I like it. I like it.
Mhm.
All right, what's our next slide here? Where do we use these things, right? And how can you be using them? So, hey, it's going to be used in your listing presentation, all right? It's going to help sellers understand why you are the best choice. And it doesn't mean that every single value prop is going to be used for every single seller, but you're going to be able to pull elements from it, right? And you're going to be able to use it at the right time with the right seller. Your buyer consultations, right? Right now, even more than ever before, like Angela was saying, it's important for us to stress our value, explain our value prop in a buyer consultation. And guess what? Also on social media, right? Our social media and our marketing. I want you now looking at every single post you do. I want you looking at the physical marketing you're sending out, your email blasts, and think, does my value prop come through in this post? Does it really resonate with somebody who is looking at this? Can they see how
Kim,
I am different?
Kim, right? Kim, you posted that everyone sees your social
Yeah.
media. Here's how you work your value prop in there.
There you go. Exactly right. And then networking and conversations. I want you to be ready to confidently communicate your value. All right. It's no longer, I am great. I am amazing. It's no longer, hey, Angela's amazing at being a broker. It's specific things that actually relate to that client. Because when it's specific and it's relatable, guess what? They're actually going to see the true value that you go ahead and that you bring. And
Yeah.
look, you don't have to have all these incredible, beyond amazing stats. You have to have something that's just really good that relates to a client, because a lot of other brokers out there will not have that. All right. And they may have great stats themselves, even better than you. But if they're not talking about them and they're not explaining that to the client, guess what? It doesn't matter. So that's why it's really, really important for you to be able to actually go ahead and communicate this, even in simple networking conversations that you're having.
Yeah. And you guys have heard of like an elevator pitch, right? If you're on an elevator and somebody asks you, what do you do? Or why should I work with you, right? Or what makes you different? Be ready with something in your arsenal to say. Not that that's actually going to happen in real life, but you will be comfortable with it so you can work it into conversations casually.
Yeah.
Working it into conversations, putting it on some of your printed materials. Really, you can use a value prop in so many different ways and it's so versatile. But when you have one, then you can kind of tweak it depending on where it's going. Greg says, I was about to ask how we achieve that 90% success rate or suggest to be the next Accelerate call. Yeah, we'd be on for a while. That probably would need to be more than 30 minutes. All right, so next steps. We want you to complete a little worksheet that we have for you. So when we post the recording, the slides, we will also post this worksheet. And it is a couple pages long, and just sit down with it for a few minutes and take some time and just think through it, and kind of complete each section, and it'll help you build a nice little value prop for yourself. So once you complete it, then we want you to practice it. So you can practice it with anybody. It could be with a partner or a colleague or even a client that you're close with or your dog, right? It doesn't matter. Just get some practice saying it, memorizing it, getting comfortable with it, tweaking it. And then remember to use it consistently in your business interactions. I think the key here is we really want people to trust us, right? We want to gain our
Yeah.
clients' trust. We want them to feel comfortable that we're counseling them in the right way, that we got their back, that we know what they're doing. So we think a value prop is super important for that. All right, so what's up next? We have next week, next Monday, we have our social media webinar. This is going to be authenticity in a picture perfect world, how to show up 1000% you. And then the next week, Monday, we have our fair housing webinar. And so Rachel Scheid and I will be on, and we're going to be talking all things fair housing. April is fair housing month, so we want to make sure that we're working some fair housing into our programming at the company. And then week 4 of this month, you're going to do your in-office roundtables. We will be sending more information on that. If you have not participated in an in-office roundtable, we highly recommend you do it. It's a great way to get in the office, talking to colleagues. We give a nice document that you can walk through. You don't even need anybody else. You could just sit with a group of agents and just walk through the document, and you guys can idea share and bounce ideas off each other. So it's a really great way to get in the office and get talking and kind of coming up with some new ideas. So we highly recommend it. Paul, thank you for being here with us today.
Of course, always a fun time, always a great way to go ahead and start the week.
Yeah. So I hope you guys have a great week. We'll get this posted within the next day or so, and reach out if you have any questions, and we'll see you guys soon. Okay. Thank you. Bye.